Module 6. Let's try to recreate this shape right here, which looks like 2, 5, 5, 5 cubes. One is sort of brought up 2.5 feet and over 2.5 feet in two directions. We've got this interesting offset look. So to start that, we're just going to make the two separate cubes. To do that, you can use the rectangle tool, make a 5 foot by 5 foot rectangle on the ground plane, and then switch to the push-pull command and lift that up 5 feet. We can triple-click this to select the entire object. It would be, of course, 12 lines and 6 different surfaces. And we're going to copy and paste over to somewhere else in the space. Now we've got two separate cubes. And we can think of a couple of ways to create this object. But one way I'm going to try is I'm going to move the bottom midpoint of this cube over to this midpoint, which is going to sort of get us about half of the way there. So I'm going to make this move command. And then from here, all I have to do is move this top cube over 2.5 feet. But you'll notice that as soon as I try to do that, something's gone horribly wrong. Actually, we've sort of have a classic case of getting stuck to one another. And what's happened is that when you intersect lines with existing lines, and when you intersect surfaces and make them coplanar and touching each other, they're going to automatically form new segments of lines and surfaces, and they're going to get stuck in the way. So you can see that's basically happened on these edges. So when I try to move, it's going to function like we've seen in previous modules, where only the things that are selected will be moved, and everything else will sort of get stuck and stretch along for the ride. So that process is not going to work for us, and this is, in general, a pretty big problem as soon as we have many volumes. You can illustrate that again if we were to even just put point to point out at this edge here. You can see even that gets stuck. We have to fix this problem, and the way we're going to do that is by introducing groups. So to make a group, you want to have an entire object selected, or a collection of objects that you want to no longer deform in relation to each other or anything else. So we've selected this cube. We're going to then right-click the selection, and then select Make Group. Right away, you'll notice that it removes the polka dotty look on the surfaces. And if you switch to the arrow command and use deselect anything and select this group again, you'll see that you'll select everything all at once, as opposed to the original cube, where you can still select individual lines and surfaces. First big difference. Notice that if I switch to the move command, I can still manipulate different parts of the first cube. If I click anywhere on the group, it's going to move the whole thing together. Now, you might notice that on the surfaces, these little arrows are popping up, and those are going to allow you to very quickly rotate things. But we'll get to rotate later on in the modules. Now, what if you wanted to go back and edit this group? All you have to do is switch to the arrow tool, double-click it, and now it looks. Think of it as if you've gone to a folder in on your desktop, and you've sort of entered that folder, and you're going to now not be able to modify anything outside of the folder, and you can sort of in an isolated way go and make all those different small modifications as well. And to exit out of the group, you simply click outside of this force field that's been made. Very, very useful thing to immediately do if you model any individual component. I'm not going to use the word component there. Any individual object that you have defined to be a shape or a specific form that will not change or shouldn't change, you should always immediately turn that into a group. So now if we try the same thing over again, we should be able to not get stuck at this moment. And we find that that is the case.